the only gentleman who is a leftist gentleman. He was leftist, unless he's farther right than me now. He's the only one that's allowed in the show because and you love him. We have him on regularly. Matthew Torbitt, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. I'm a little bit. After today, I'm not doing TV for a bit because I'm burning out. It's
get us.
Jez, I've not had a day off. I've had 2 days off in 6 months. I'm trying to balance writing a book that I need to finish. I'm taking
you're not saying
on another
no
role.
to me, are you?
No, but I've got about 7 roles that I'm being offered, and I need to go and do some stuff and come back a bit fresher and
you'll be all right.
Less miserable about
less miserable about the fact that the party that I asked to run this country. Yeah. Where do you want to start? I'm going to start actually away from Nigel Farage. I'm going to start with the Labour Party, if that's all right. Today, 3 things happened. The Deputy Leader of Labour, Farage, said that ministers must accept the real concerns that people have over immigration. Wow, that took a year. Rachel Thieves then stood up at the sat down, talked vacancies, told the Parliamentary Committee that companies should not always resort to the immigration lever to fill vacancies. This fresh on the back of the fact that our Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, and I quote, said, "There's lots of spare housing available for illegal migrants and for British working class families." Are they all really crap at their jobs? Have they just woken up or are they essentially as bad? And I'm not being horrible. I mean, what is that all about? There's 1.3 million people on the social housing list. I would expect civil servants and advisors just put their head in their hands increasingly with him.
I went for a lunch with a journalist today who said a sitting Labour MP texted her as he made that comment and said, "I'm going to pull my hair out. I'm just screaming at what he's just said." I'm going to do something now, though, that you won't... I very rarely do, but I'm going to stick up for Keir Starmer, actually.
Shock, horror. It's breaking news. Torbitt.
So what he's not been clear. It was a total stupid thing to say. Yeah. I was sat on a housing panel a couple of months ago in which one of the deputy mayors for London who covers housing said they had identified, or it may have been a FOI to all different local authorities, that there is about 30,000 empty social homes in this country. Now, my assumption, because he didn't go into further details, is that they're not fit for purpose, they need doing up and whatever else. But the point is, we're on about building houses, which we absolutely need to do, but there is some houses as well that we're not making the most of. I wondered if they're obviously doing their own commission to go, where are these houses? And in his head he's gone, we have got them.
Yeah, but 30,000 against 1.3 million,
no,
the guy
I agree.
Can't even add up.
No, it's a drop in the ocean, but I wonder if he isn't across it, shall we say.
And Rachel Reeves, hold on a second, you're a Labour man, but let's be honest, if you're going to stand up and say, I don't think we should be... You opened the doors in 1997. That was with Blair. It started there, continued by the Tories. I give you that. But what are you saying? She's panicking, isn't she? She's right up a creek without a paddle.
You're going to make me stick up for Rachel Reeves now.
You can't.
No, because you said 1997. She wasn't an MP,
The only reason I will stick up for Rachel Reeves, do you know what people have said to me from the Labour side? She's the one sensible voice they've got when it comes to fiscal policy. That's how bad it is.
Well, it's easy to say, and this isn't me sticking up for it. I think, look, she wasn't there in 97. She's got to deal with what she's got to deal with now, right? So there's that.
Yeah.
However, if you're going to pass measures like a increase to the national minimum wage, which is fine, you can't also, which is going to hit businesses, put up the NICS rise.
No, absolutely.
Because that ends up purposely inflationary and it's too much. So therefore, people are going to look at cheaper options, which tends to be cheap imported labour. So it's all well good saying don't do that, but you're making life potentially hard and squeezing these businesses, aren't you? So what are they going to do in many ways?
Right, so you've sort of stuck up for both of them, which is thrown me completely off.
I will always be fair, Jeremy.
Oh,
sometimes,
you're great. Good man, we love you. Doctors. Now, I'm not going to have... I understand people will say to me, oh, behind the 8 ball. I'm talking about optics. You come from a working class family. You, of all the people I have ever spoken to on the Labour side, understand real men and women. For reasons, you've been homeless. We're not going to go into that, but you've experienced real things and you've done so well with your life, and I love the bones of you. But Labour's in a pickle here as well. Wes Streeting arrived, walked down Downing Street, took the job, said, oh, fantastic, I've got to the table the Tories wouldn't, I've given them 23%, everything's going to be fine. The critics went, you've only given them 2 years, this is going to... The optics of Friday's 5-day strike, 250,000 appointments lost, an extra 87 million to the British taxpayer for the NHS. you can't tell me that this has either been handled well by Labour or will be bought by the British public. I think this is appalling. I genuinely do.
No, it's pretty bad. I think I understood the logic because the Tories had ignored them and not agreed to any sort of pay at all.
Maybe a year ago, but not again, mate, when nurses got 5%. I mean, how does that work?
No, what I'm saying is they've looked and gone, look, you know, they're still going on strike, the Tories are ignoring them. Why don't we try and essentially buy them off? That's like any negotiation.
But he's been done. He looks like an idiot.
Has. And listen, it's annoying. I totally get how annoying it is. I've got a personal stake in this myself. I tore my ACL playing football. 4 months I've been waiting now for an operation. I'm walking on one leg in agony. It's killing me. And stuff like this is going to annoy people like me.
Are you hopping mad?
Yes, just a little bit.
That was rubbish,
yeah.
wasn't it?
But no, it's not great. And I've said it before, and I got pilloried the other week by the trade unions. Don't be greedy. Right, we're all. I've got off the phone to my dad today. Everybody is feeling the pinch.
Yes.
We know this.
Yes.
But do you think a reform government will be more pro-worker and trade union than this government?
No, I'll talk about them in a minute. But let's just say what you just said. Don't be greedy and expect people. This is my point. I keep saying it. I said it in a podcast about immigration. I liked the fact in the past that the United Kingdom morally sort of led the way, always seemed to do the right thing. Yeah, think Ukraine. We are so skint we cannot afford the £111 billion interest on the money that our Chancellor has borrowed. So to find money down the sofa for the Chagos Islands or for the Afghan situation, and then to say to people, right, you can't have this and you can't have that, everything going on, these people, after 23% a year ago, want a further... I made a point, I'm going to make you sit through this because you're going to hate this. Margaret Thatcher dealt with the miners' strike by saying, you have every right to strike, but we're going to make sure that there's no intimidation run by left-wing shop stewards like Red Robber, who I used to interview in the Midlands. You're going to go into a booth and vote privately. Your wife isn't going to be abused at the school gates, and strikes went down. I wonder if this militant BMA represents the views of all of the... I wonder what would happen if it was a private vote. Genuine comment.
I think I'm right in remembering that there wasn't a majority, and actually Labour have been bitten by the own unintended consequences of their own policy, which was they felt the 50% threshold that trade unions had to meet, therefore a majority of workers have voted on a majority turnout. You have to have more than 50% of workers and members, and over 50% of them voting.
And none of
for
them
that.
Turned out, did they?
I think it was about 48 or 40, but it's not a majority.
So they got half of half.
Yeah, but
so 25%.
The point I was trying to make is if you're a doctor or a nurse or resident doctors, etc., you've got something out of this government. You would not get that from a Conservative government, unlikely from a Reform government. Have a little think about what making this government look even worse does to your potential future under a different government, potentially. That's where I think got to be a little bit more strategic.
The reason we bonded was that you said on election night about Starmer's amazing victory that it would never get any better. You've said twice already this hour, this interview, a reform government is a distinct possibility. Nigel this week standing up and talking about societal collapse, tackling law and order, 30,000 new police officers, more stop and search, an end to early release, maybe El Salvador, more... did all of that, right? Immediate... I've had Matt Vickers on. Back of a fag packet. How's he going to afford it? Farage says... likely it'll pay for itself. Don't know if that's true. My point is, politically, antennae, optics, whatever, this man is talking, not just sound bites, this man is going into more detail about the things the British people want to talk about, which is law and order and his immigration and his defence. Those were traditional Tory things that they did. The Tories never talked about net zero or anything like that. They talked about law and order on the streets. What did you make of his speech? What did you make of the promises? What do you make of it? Is it cost effective? Do you think it's right, or do you think it's pie in the sky?
If you are going to... I think the speech was fine. I think what I've noticed about Nigel, though, is he's a campaigner, and he's the most effective communicator in the country at the moment, political communicator, and his message cuts through. What I've noticed is if he's got to do detail, he sinks back a little bit. He'd much prefer to be delivering a bombastic speech, almost like a Prescott type, or Gordon Brown giving the tub thumping. When you've got to go into the granular, I don't think it necessarily...
A bit like Trump.
Yes, exactly that. I think Trump would totally struggle. I don't think it would pay for itself in the sense of if you were aiming to arrest and potentially therefore put into prison everybody that nicks a phone at the moment, you're going to need way more than 10,000 spaces.
All right, but 17.5 billion. I put to you as a Labour supporter, that your government spent 11 billion on pay rises and 16 billion to the Chagos Islands, which is 10 billion more than that figure. I would suspect, and I had people on today, by the way, saying I'd be happy to pay more tax if I thought it was being paid on things that matter, like law and order and like immigration, not housing Afghanistani men who might turn out to be wrong-uns, or whatever, however you put it, or the benefit system. So he is talking the language, isn't he? And you know, we can all sit here and go, we need more meat on the bone, but he's resonating with people.
Listen, there's nothing more annoying. Thankfully, I've never been a victim of it, but most people in London have. And I don't get it, where you can have your phone or your AirPods or whatever nicked. You can see where it is on the GPS, and the police will not knock on the door. The likelihood is they'll knock on the door, say, give him his phone back, and then go, oh, you've got another 300 more, we've uncovered a ring. Why are you not doing that? So that is the sort of thing he's speaking to. People having their bikes nicked and the police going, yeah, what do you do, sort of thing. And I get that. I think where he may come unstuck on the detail, I saw Z Yusuf, I think, accidentally say that he was challenged that how many of the 30,000, when would that start? Is that 30,000 from now or at the next election? And he said, well, it'd be from the next election. Obviously, we're going to have 30,000 plus whatever Labour do. Labour are currently saying they'll do 13,000, so there'll be 43,000 extra bobbies as of the end of the next Parliament. Well, when you look at the press release, actually, that isn't true. It would be from now. So I think that's where the detail is.
Well, you can't do it from now if you're not in power.
Well, no,
one of the things that I thought as well, and I actually the other day, just to finish, is you know, the Labour Party, I thought were going to be massively prepared the first 100 days, Sue Gray, and actually they weren't massively prepared. I think that whether it's Advance, the Reform, the Liberal Democrats, the Tories, whoever wins the next election needs to have in place, one thing from Trump actually, from day one, from the get-go, you're going straight in and you're doing this, because I think the British public are fed up with waiting, and I think they're fed up with being conned. And I listen, what do I know? But he's speaking the language. The Labour Party seems to lurch from disaster to disaster, and Kemi Badenoch thinks it's a good idea to bring Sir James Cleverly back as Shadow Housing Minister.
Listen, I like James. I think
he should have been the leader.
Well, that's what I mean. I think she's scared, and actually,
what do you do? Keep your enemies close. But I mean, he's a man. He was the Foreign Secretary, for Christ. What's he with housing? What's that all about?
I think he's very good at the dispatch box, and therefore it'd be interesting between him and Angela. I would say it seems like she's scared. He is someone, when I've spoken to him, he's really not planning. He really isn't, even though Kemi's,
he will be the next leader, though, you know that.
He should. Well, I think he dodged a bullet not being it this time.
Yes,
I think I've said before.
Somebody said to me, David Moyes should never have followed Alex Ferguson. It was always going to be a poison chalice the time after. She'll probably take 2 years of crap. Absolutely, with you, man.
It doesn't matter if Jenrick was the leader, Cleverly, Kemi, Boris, whoever. For me, they have a credibility issue. Yep. We had that post-2008 and going into the coalition.
You'll have it post-2029.
If they talk about immigration, people will go, you let them all in.
Yep.
And then if they talk about the economy, they go, shut up, Liz Truss, what about that?
Yep.
Kemi Badenoch's job, for me, is to stop the bleeding and to exist after 2029. If you can make even 10 gains, that's a genuine improvement, and she can leave having done her job. I think she's never going to be Prime Minister. She must know that deep down. It's not going to happen. And she's just got to exist and fight off any sort of reform advance, which is going to be tricky because they are speaking to different people. People are fed up. People are impatient. I worry, not just about reform getting in, of how they'll do it. They have no members of the House of Lords.
Yeah.
He'll try and make changes within the civil service, I think, politically, a bit like the American style.
I'd create
they will push back.
I'd create Lords overnight. I'd go the whole hog.
He could, but you've got to find 900 people out of nowhere, and there's no real precedent. It's not to say it can't be done. And I think the civil service is a machine of its own. It will push back on any huge change, and therefore we end up in a real battle of who is running the country, which I think therefore causes issues for society and people that are fed up with elites and everything else.
I think the British people would prefer the government to run the country, not the civil service.
No, I agree. And I think the best bet for Labour, I've said it before, we've lost the next election, the best bet is they don't lose as many as predicted.
You would say, I know you've got to go, you would say that Labour have already lost the next election?
There's no way. I've told you before, the only saviour that could save the party would be Andy Burnham, and they're not going to let him in. I think, the next leader in 2026, after we lose Wales and Scotland, will be Angela Rayner. She'll win in a membership vote against Wes Streeting all day long, whereas he's not popular with the members. Angela is. She's the second most popular cabinet member ahead of behind Ed Miliband. So she'll win, and I don't think that changes enough. Now, if they can cobble something together with the Liberals, that kills reform. Because for me, whether people like it or not, it's a one-man band. Nigel, for me, is bored already. He wants to get it over and done with. He's not going to wait another 5 years after that.
Are you going on holiday then? So we can't have you for a couple of weeks?
I'll see how I feel next week.
Well, he'll be back next week, honestly. He is a busy man and he's working very hard. We love him. Matthew Torbitt, thank you very much indeed.